I am more upset by good reviews, as my friends will tell you. I can't tell you why. But those who know me well know by now to seek out some critical thing, because that cheers me up more than seeing one good one after another. I know it sounds nutty. I get to feeling very unreal and very undeserving if the good ones go on for a while. And what I fasten on it. Oh, this guy didn't like it. Oh, yeah, right. I agree with him, I think, for the half hour afterwards. And it sort of keeps me alive. A performance belongs to an actor. You cannot cause anybody, truly, you can't cause anybody to do what they can't do. What Elizabeth does is hers, and she's responsible for it. What I did, I think, is to serve it well, because, you know, you do many takes in a movie, and then you have literally thousands of decisions to make. Which moment do you use? And I think I saw it very much the way Elizabeth saw it, so that I chose to use the particular takes, the angles, the shots in which she found the thing that was most right. So we did it together. It's the way an actress and a director work. I used to arrive on the lot, you know, because I'm very sleepy in the morning, and I would try to wake myself up, and I would say, "Wake up, you're directing a picture with the Burtons," and nothing would happen. But what I was eventually overwhelmed by was the job they did, their professionality, and Elizabeth has a very strange thing, which is that when you see her do something, you know, you're standing next to the camera, you say, well, that's good. And then the next day you see it on the film, and it's 10 times better. Like something happened. She really knows something about movies that many people don't know. Something happens to it in that developing bath. I don't holler. You know, I have maybe once or twice. You holler. There are people who like to be hollered at, as you begin to discover after a long time. And so I have hollered a couple of times. But generally, you know, and I don't mean this in any way modest, it's just true. The director is there for other people. If you're doing a play, you're serving the author. If you're doing a picture, you're serving the picture and yourself, but also the actors. The point is to help the actors. And if you can't help them, you're not doing your job. There's no point hollering at them. What I'm sometimes afraid of is that you do get a little insulated. Like, I went to the movies last week. There were 4 of us. And we had to find a place to park the car. That took about 40 minutes. And then we lined up for another 40 minutes to get into the movie. Then we get inside, and the candy machine was broken. And the girls gave a very complicated candy order. So this other guy and I went out, and we had to get this kind of bar here and an ice cream sandwich there. Then we got back into the movie, and it was 106 degrees, and the air conditioning had broken down. And so we wanted to get our money back, which we did. It took another half hour. We had to sign something. And then we went all the way across town. I won't bore you much longer. There's a point to this. And went to the same movie in another theater. And the evening, which was going to the movies, cost $12.50 for 4 of us. Now we can afford it. But I started to think, you know, that I'm fairly insulated. You know, I usually get driven somewhere. It was sort of fun, really, you know, and if you get too removed from just living, like going to the movies is not supposed to be too hard, and I got a little worried about myself because I thought, boy, I'm exhausted, wow. You know, I'm not going out again for a while. That was really rough, going to the movies like that. And you don't want to get too insulated and get too easy on yourself. I spend my money. I'm not sure on what. I was a car bug for a while, and I got great cars that I wanted. And then I came back to New York, and I can't really use a car in New York, so I sold the car to buy a painting. And like that. I really do get a kick out of working with Elaine and what we do together. So we might do that now and then just because we enjoy it. I'm not a good performer in that way, you know, like even when Elaine and I used to be on the Jack Parr show, we would just sit there, boring, because we're not good at being on. And then you start to tell an anecdote because you've planned it, because they said, yeah, tell that anecdote about the time you got your foot caught in the subway door, or whatever it is. And that you're in the middle of it and you're so bored with it yourself. You have to be a performer, which I'm really not. I fell into directing the way I fell into everything I've ever done, by accident. Somebody said, you want to direct a play? I said, let's try. Then, the minute I started, I said, aha, yes, this is it. And then I realized, sort of looking back, that I had been thinking about it without naming it for years, that really what I'd done with Elaine and in this group we had in Chicago and everything that interested me about the theater was to be thinking about directing, but I didn't know it. I was born in Berlin, Germany, and my father was Russian. My mother is German. And then we came over here because it was necessary in '39 when I was 6. And then we settled in New York. And I went to school, and I went to college in Chicago, and here I am. I think about it sometimes because we got out, maybe 2 weeks in time, 2 weeks before it would have been too late. And that is, to put it mildly, lucky. And I think that if I'd had a life, how different it would have been. Oh, that's hard. I don't like terribly general questions like, who are you really? You know, those are very hard to answer. What frightens me really is loss of sensation, I think, is the only thing, is not to feel. And that seems to me for everyone to be the single thing to avert and avoid. But as long as you're feeling, I mean, to be feeling lousy is also very interesting. You know, nothing wrong with that sometimes. I have one goal, really, which is to be a good movie director, because I love making movies, and I would love to know how to do it better and better. And I love the idea of what I feel about movies, which is that if you come into movies, you're really apprenticed to giants, because there are people who've done extraordinary things in movies, I think more practically than in any other field right now. The great thing about movies is there are about 100 very, very talented people. And that interests me immensely, because that's a much greater feeling to see how far you have to go. And again, I don't mean this modestly, it's just that movies are a very big thing. That interests me more than, say, working in a field where you think, oh yeah, well, I'm as good as anybody else.